Assalamu alaikum. In this video, I wanted to discuss deeper about the 7 different chakras and how it correlates to the 7 different sins. And I have found and made the interconnection a while ago, and it's more and more becoming more apparent to what this actual verse means in Surah 2 and line 29. It is he who has created all things for you that are of earth, or that are on earth. In addition, his plans called for the heavens, and he gave order and perfection to the 7 skies, and of all things he is all knowing. Okay, so there is no coincidence there that this talks about the 7 different layers of earths and skies. Now, if we go into a metaphysical or quantum physical state and understanding those words, that means that there are different levels to the dimensions that are around us. And if everything comes from Allah, then that means that there's no separation. So the 7 different levels of earths and skies, or earths and heavens, and some of the different verses call it different things. I believe that what they were trying to actually articulate back then, when Muhammad was given these revelations, was in order to teach the people that there are 7 different levels of consciousness and awareness that opens up each time you reach these certain levels. And that is what the chakras are. It's no coincidence that the chakras there's 7 chakras and there are 7 sins. And they do correlate when you really think about it. The 7 different chakras, you have the root chakra, which is your grounding place. And it is the meridian, the energy site of the root is supposed to be your feet. So in order to feel your feet are opened up, you're supposed to be grounding into the earth, and there are lots of different techniques to open your root chakra. One of the things one of the ways that we feel ungrounded is in fear, if we have a fear. So when we go to the 7 different sins, we have wrath, greed, sloth, pride, gluttony, envy, and lust. I would also say that when you are not feeling grounded, when you feel you cannot move by your feet, then you are in sloth. Sloth is the blockage of the root chakra. When you feel like you cannot move that particular area of yourself, you will not move your feet. So that is sloth. Sloth is the one of the 7 sins that is laziness. It is the inability to move and just sitting there in your current situation that you may not be happy about, or that is causing pain or suffering to others. And sloth is staying in that position. So sloth is connected to the root chakra, that when your root chakra is engaged, you are ready to move on. You're ready to walk forward and to progress in your life. The other chakra, then we move up to, is your sacral chakra. Your sacral chakra is in your pelvis area. This is the area which, if it's blocked and it's unopened, it causes problems with intimacy. You have problems with sharing yourself intimately in a sexual way with others. But the sin of that would be lust. So when that area is blocked, and in the sense that you are only you're excessively looking for that place to be fulfilled, that is where lust comes in. So you're not really allowing that fluidity of opening and closing of the chakra center of your sacral chakra, where you open yourself up to the people that you love, that you care about, that are worthy of your body in that sense. And lust is really the over excessive opening of that area. And in doing so, it causes this insatiable lust and drive for sex. And so that is where it correlates, is that your sacral chakra is correlated to the lust sin. Moving up to the stomach, you have the navel chakra, and the navel is where you will feel the, I would say we have wrath, greed. I would say it would be wrath. The reason why I say that is because, oh no, actually gluttony. Yeah, gluttony definitely. Gluttony is the excessive, it's considered in the Bible to talk about the excessive need for eating. Now, when you think about it, the most example I can think about is when kings had their feasts and they would have all this food and they would be gorging themselves on the food, and then they would have poor people on the streets dying without food. So if your navel chakra is your center where you're supposed to be fulfilled in your understanding that when it is freely opened and unblocked, you have clear digestion. You do not overfeed yourself. You don't feel that there's a need to excessively eat and to fulfill yourself in this area. Because a lot of times the stomach is also, it's also aligned to feeling fear. And so they say that when you're feeling fearful about something emotionally, you tend to overeat. A lot of people will eat to kind of cover up their fear and make themselves feel better. And that is a way of really making that area unaligned, and you're over excessive in that area. So right there, that is the gluttony is related to the sacral chakra. Sacral chakra is where the center of it, where you have that unblocked energy and that flow. So you have that nice balance of eating what you need and then, giving away what you don't, not living in excessiveness where you keep your body healthy, your temple, clean and healthy. And gluttony is really the excessive amount of eating and fulfilling yourself in a need that really is just about overindulgence. Okay, so then after we go from the sacral, we're going to move up to the heart chakra. So the heart chakra would definitely have to be, we have wrath, we have greed, and we have envy and pride left. So I would say that the heart would definitely have to be, I would say, the envy part of us. So when you have an open heart, you are able to love others and to appreciate all their gifts and talents and skills that they have without feeling that envious feeling in your heart where you want to take away from someone. So the heart being opened, that is a place where it allows you to freely love others, to feel compassionate towards others, to feel caring towards others, to love, to show that divine emotion towards others. But if it's closed off, then you are in a situation where your heart is closed off to others. And because you won't allow love in, you're not going to experience love from people. And so you'll have envy against those that seem to be getting everything right in their life. They have a lot of love, they have a lot of popularity, people just really like them, and that makes you very envious. And I believe that Cain had that towards Abel. He had that envy in his heart, which is what created the need for him to get rid of him and to kill him. So that right there, the heart. So we're moving up into the throat chakra. So the throat would be wrath, definitely. So wrath, our throat chakra is our place of expression. We can use it to express our love for others. We can use it to express our highly evolved sense of self and sense of the cosmos, and we can use it in a lot of wonderful ways, through music, through song, through poetry, through stories, through YouTube videos. We can use our throat chakra, our sense of self-expression, in really good ways. But when it is blocked, we will not give our voice. And what ends up happening is we will feel that anger inside of us because no one will be understanding us, no one will be hearing us, and that will make us very angry. If you look at a lot of acts done out of rage and wrath, it is because they feel that their voice is not being heard. And so that's one of the things I've noticed in history, is that different acts of violence, even terrorism, comes from a place of feeling like they're not being heard. They're just not being heard, and I'm going to make this person understand me through violence and make this person finally hear me through violence. That's why the postal worker who gets fired moves up to a building and then snipers people, because he feels that his voice, who he is, his expression of his self, has not been heard by others. When that part of you is open, you will not have wrath towards others, because you will understand that you're not here to make people hear you. You're here to express yourself as a divine part of Allah, of creation. And in doing so, if you can bring people forward into progressiveness of evolution, well, then that's great. But you're not going to be trying to get people to hear you all the time, because that's not majorly your concern. And some people have commented like, oh, why don't you do this for more followers? Why don't you do that? My concern is not about followers. My concern is about spreading the message of love, unity, and stopping the wars, because we are entering into a stage where we're going to destroy each other if we do not stop these wars. So we need to have all the good people join together, stand up against these wars. That's my major message. But wrath is definitely something that people use. They shout at each other, they yell curses at each other, they scream at each other. So wrath is that area of the self-expression when it's too much ingrained in your ego, it's too blocked off, and you're too much in your self-identity. Therefore, all that's coming out is your anger about people, your wrath. All right, moving up from wrath, you're going to go into your third eye. So all we have now is we have greed and we have pride. Okay. I would say, so we have our third eye and we have the crown. So the third eye represents your intuition, your understanding that you are in a temporary physical state right now, but your spirit is something that's immaterial, and everybody else's spirit is immaterial. When the eye is open, when the third eye is open, you can see beyond the material world. Not that your sight changes. Some people say that they can see like glowing lights everywhere, or lines, or things like that. But you see it in the mind's eye that everybody is connected and everybody is spirit, everybody is energy, and you can also know that scientifically too. But when your intuition is open, you just feel that you are aligned to this understanding that you are not material. You are actually truly a spiritual energy, and you are in this world temporarily, and other people are in this world temporarily. And if you can make it as happy for each other as you possibly can. That's what it truly means to have your eye opened. And we're all walking each other home. We're all trying to walk each other back home to that spiritual state, away from the material world. So I would say that when the third eye is closed, I would say that that would have to be your pride. Because think about it. If your third eye is actually closed down and it's blocked, that means that you're not able to go beyond the material world. So what that means is that you're going to covet. I guess it could be greed too. Well, let me follow this thought through, and we'll see what comes out. But it's going to mean that you're going to want to covet the material world. So you're going to look for lots of money, you're going to look for cars, you're going to look for gold, you're going to look for women, you're going to look for lots of men, you're going to look for all these material things, because you don't see yourself as a spiritual being, you see yourself as a material being. So you only think that the conquest of the material world is the goal, and it's not. Conquest is really of yourself, spiritually. Conquest the jihad inside, the inner spiritual battle, removing yourself from your ego, your desires, and moving into the higher echelons of consciousness. So I guess that would be greed. Yes, I guess that would be greed for sure. Because when that part of you is blocked off, you're greedy. You want everything for yourself. You're in ego. You don't see that you are part of this spiritual matrix that connects you to everyone. You believe that you are strictly part of this material world. And that's why some of the times when I see some of the members of the Illuminati talk about, oh, become an Illuminati member and receive all this money, receive all this wealth, receive all this stuff, it really makes me wonder, well, are they really awakened? If they really feel that they are truly awakened, if they really feel that their eye is awakened, then they wouldn't need all these material things. They would see that they're beyond the material world, and that some of the most precious things in this world are actually things that have no value to them and strictly are just felt within the heart. They're felt within the mind. So, I mean, it begs to answer that question, just like, how awakened are those that talk about, oh, the Illuminati, the eye is supposed to represent the third eye, but then there's some people that claim that the Illuminati is supposed to be giving them wealth and things like that. So that part of the Illuminati, you got to question. So I would definitely say that when this is blocked off, you are greedy. You are greedy. You're not sharing with others because you don't see the interconnection to others. You don't see it. So then it leads us up to the Crown Chakra. The Crown Chakra is the place where, after moving from the third eye, you're supposed to have the enlightenment. And this is your enlightenment center. Your Crown Chakra is supposed to be opened. So all the energy from your root all the way up is supposed to flow out and and what that's supposed to do is supposed to allow you to have this, I guess, the feeling of the Holy Spirit, the energy that allows you to feel connected and to do all things and to manifest things in your life. When the crown is opened, you allow energy flowing in easily and flowing out. So what that is it's creating the life that you wish to create when your intentions are good. And only when your intentions are good can your chakras be opened. If that part of you is blocked, so when it is opened, you are in unity consciousness. You are no longer an ego-driven individual. You are no longer a subjective experiencing being. You are actually a spiritual unity consciousness, unity driven spiritual being living on earth for a temporary time. When that is closed, it is about your pride getting in the way and feeling that you are the most important person on earth. Your needs have to be met. It's your subject of experience and no one else's that matter. That is the problem with people in charge. In charge of the world today, we have the people that have the most pride within them. And when you look at the way that Iblis, who would be considered Lucifer in alignment to Christianity, when God said to all the angels, bow down to Adam, show your respect, show your unity with this next creation I created. And Iblis said, no, how can I bow down to one that was made out of dirt? I was made out of fire. So because we were a different element structure than Iblis, he feels he is better. And so when people's crown is not opened, they are in pride. It's very, very tough. When you are in the crown chakra, this is a very extremely challenging part of the consciousness level. What will happen is all this information will come to you. You will feel very enlightened. You will feel like you understand things, and you will feel connected to everyone. The trap is, and this is where the whisperings of Satan come in, the trap is to feel that you're better or superior to others who don't know. The people in charge and who consider themselves spiritually enlightened feel that the masses are lower than them. That is because that crown is not truly opened. They may say it is, they may think it is, but if you do if you do not see everyone as equal in that unity consciousness and you feel superior over others, you are in pride. You are in what Iblis had about himself. He was in pride. He was not in unity consciousness to the humans like the angels. The angels were able to see that the humans were connected to them. Iblis was not. His pride got into the way of seeing that unity. And I don't know if that is something that will change in the end times, but the Quran tells us that Satan will go into the fire and all the followers of his prideful ways will follow along with him. So I think it's really important to see that and understand that the Quran revelations were trying to teach people about different layers of consciousness that exist not on this earth, because they are, it's truly hard to explain, but they're of the mind. So they're not of the material world, they're of the spiritual world. So the 7 different layers of earth and sky or heavens is really the 7 different levels of consciousness within a human being. And the 7 different sins are that battle. It's like that jihad to understand how to open up those chakra centers. And that's a word I've been using purposefully because I understand that the jihad actually means your inner spiritual battle within to open up these chakra centers and to allow yourself to let the energy flow in balance, never having excess, never having a lack, and having that balance within your body. And creating that balance within that body creates this really wonderful, beautiful flow of divine energy. And when anything is blocked off, you don't get that flow. The flow's trying to come down, but it's blocked. Flow's trying to come down, it's blocked. So it never goes through. So it's really important to see that the 7 different layers of consciousness are related to the 7 different levels of heaven and earth. And that is why it says right here, he gave order and perfection to the 7 heavens, and of all things he is all knowing. Order and perfection, that these work in total truth, that the 7 different levels of consciousness or awareness that a person enters into, there is divine order and perfection. There is only truth there, that the more you work on allowing yourself to get rid of the 7 sins, wrath, greed, sloth, pride, gluttony, envy, and lust, then the blessings start to come into your life. You have rid yourself of these energy blockers in your life, allowing the divine energy to flow in and out of your life, allowing yourself to become a true submitter and a true servant to Allah. A true submitter and a servant, as I talked about in my other video, letting go of the ego. So at the very end, you're letting go and allowing that crown chakra to open up. The crown chakra is also known in the New Age circles as the violet consciousness. It is the highest vibrational waves that allow us to perceive the color violet. So violet is the highest, and that's why in the rainbow, violet is the highest frequency. That's why it's called violet chakra or violet consciousness. It also is called the Christ consciousness or the Krishna consciousness, because when the crown is opened and you are gone with pride, you have no pride left. You are no longer full of ego. You are all about unity consciousness. You have your subjective experiences, of course you do, but you are about the unity consciousness, no longer part of your subjective ego. Well, then you're in Christ consciousness, you're in Krishna consciousness, you're in violet consciousness, you're in the crown chakra. So I truly do feel that that is what the Quran was trying to tell us. It gives us this esoteric wisdom and understanding. And if I go into the Quran, so I searched out the number 7. So I searched up the number 7 here, guys. Yeah, 7 is huge. 7 fat cows in the dream of Moses. I also have something in Surah 2:261. Example of those who spread their wealth in the way of Allah is like a seed which grows 7 spikes, and each spike is 100 grains, and Allah multiplies for him whom he wills. So it's not just about this, it's just not about the number 7. It's just that when you go through the different levels of your awakening of who you are and ridding yourself of the 7 different sins that will cause the blockages in yourself, you will open up to infinity. And that's what it means, that when you allow yourself to be in service to Allah and you allow yourself to be this tool, this divine tool on earth, many, 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 many more levels of consciousness are open to you, and you will experience joy in a multitude of ways, not just 7. Joseph said you'll plan for 7 years consecutively. Then another one is Joseph said, yeah, 7 different. Oh, I found something. Ooh, this is cool. Surah 1544. Now, if I go to more context, so let me read before. Now this makes sense. So 1541. Allah said, "This is a path of return to me that is straight. Indeed, my servants, no authority will have you over them except those who follow you of the dividers. And indeed, hell is the promise placed for them all. It has 7 gates. For every gate is of them a portion designated. Indeed, the righteous will be within gardens and springs, having been told, enter it in peace, safe and secure." So what does that say? The 7 different gates of hell you go through wrath, greed, sloth, pride, gluttony, envy, and lust. Those are the 7 sins. 7 gates that will enter into hell. 7 sins. When you unblock those 7 different places within your psyche, it's not really your body. It's you. Each level of consciousness is designated to a certain level of a place in the body to give you that physical representation. And there are meridians within the body, scientists are finding. There are energy centers. But it's really about unlocking this place on a mental level, each level on a mental level. What that looks like is you go through your life, you're like, well, where am I being wrathful towards others? Where am I being greedy in my life? Where am I being lazy and full of sloth? Can I move forward in my life? Where am I being a gluttonous? Where am I being envious of another? Where am I being lustful of another instead of love, and just lust? Where am I being prideful? These are areas that you need to look at. Every single human being is responsible to look at these 7 different levels of consciousness and see, are you going to unblock them in order to enter into heaven when you die? Or are you going to keep the energy within you blocked by these 7 different sins so that you enter into one of these gates in hell? If you're somebody who lives your life through the gate of greed, what does that mean? It means that you're someone that's just truly greedy. You never give to others, and you take it upon yourself to create war, to create chaos and destruction in order to gain. I can think of a lot of wealthy families that are entering into that gate of hell, which is greed. I can think a lot of different people who are entering into the gate of sloth into hell, the laziness, the people that allow themselves to hate others without researching and actually educating themselves. They are entering into the gate of sloth into hell. I can see that others are entering into the gate of wrath into hell. I was very close to it because I get very passionate, I get very angry about what I see in the world. But I realize that that doesn't positively make people come together, and it doesn't really change anything. So there's and also wrath can lead to anger and destruction. So there's all these examples of these behaviors, of these 7 different sins in the world, and then you see examples of the 7 different levels of consciousness, that when those layers are opened up in a person, they are not controlled by these 7 sins, which are represented by Satan as a whole. When you don't follow the 7 sins, you're not following the whisperings of Satan. In the very last verse of the Quran, I will read, because I believe that that is exactly what it was talking about in Surah 114. Surah 114. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, say, I seek shelter and security with the Lord, the cherisher of mankind, King of mankind, God Almighty of mankind, from the mischief of the whisperer, who hides away, who whispers into the breasts of mankind, among the jinns and among the men. That right there tells you that there's this energy that will whisper into people's hearts, and it gets through by these 7 different sins: wrath, greed, sloth, pride, lust, envy, and gluttony. When you alleviate your life of these 7 different sins, or when at least you acknowledge when they happen, when you say, oh, that's me being very greedy, or that's me kind of being envious, I'm sorry, Lord, I'm sorry, can you please show me the straight way, show me the right way, show me the way to remove myself from that sin. Then what happens is the different level that is correlated to it will be opened up, and will start to allow you to have that divine energy come through your body, and eventually you reach the crown and you become egoless, and you become part of the unity consciousness, and you can walk around as an enlightened being, and you are simply human, but an enlightened human. And an enlightened human means just someone who is conscious and awakened, that you are connected to all other beings. You will not try to harm anyone. You will try to love them. You will try to give peace towards them. You will try to show them that this is our temporary home. I'm going to make this peaceful for you. And you are then living your life as an enlightened Buddha, as an enlightened person. And then you have a choice if you want to teach others how to become enlightened, or if you want to just be more private and quiet about your enlightenment and enjoy your life. And that's how you get out of suffering. And that's how you get out of your little personal hells that we all get into our physical life. And then when we die, we will enter into the gates of heaven. So I thought that that was really important to talk about, because I know I talk about levels of consciousness and it is all related. Look into it. If you're new to the levels of consciousness, look into the 7 different levels and learn about it, and then learn about the way that sins are and how that causes the blockages in each different level and state. Now, I went through the correlation with you in real time, because I was working out the process, because it kind of just came to me to do this video today. I was like, I think it's time to talk about this, because I talk about consciousness. I'm very much aware of indigo consciousness. I named my channel after that. So yeah, it simply just means that I'm able to go beyond the material world and see all as spiritual. And I believe that Islam was trying to teach that. And unfortunately, as in all religions, the translations get messed up and misunderstood. So it is time for each and every one of us now to become awakened, enlightened beings in order to move to the next stage of humanity. I think we're all tired of war. I think we are. There might be a few who still really want the wars and they want the destruction, but I think the majority of us are tired of these bombings. We're tired of this. We're just ready to move forward into a new earth. And we can only do that by unblocking each of those 7 different layers of heaven and earth within our own selves. So salam, and I'll see you in the next video.